Secret Service on high alert after shocking second phone call. Trump just woke up to a Detroit man made a huge mistake for what he planned to do to Donald Trump in his plot to assassinate the President of the United States. On top of being extremely violent in his plans, the man was also being very racist, and what he said will send chills down your spine. The truck driver named James Anthony Jackson repeatedly called the Secret Service and issued racist threats of blowing white brains out of Trump's head. Jackson remains in custody and he's being held without bond. He's denying the events took place and will argue to be released, according to Detroit News. Jackson is in custody in Washington state after being arrested in Coeur, Idaho. The federal court in Idaho does not schedule hearings every day, so Jackson was arraigned Tuesday in nearby Spokane, Wash. He is being held without bond pending a hearing Friday in federal court in Spokane, Wash. His court-appointed lawyer, Jay McIntyre, could not be reached for comment immediately Tuesday. He denies the allegations and plans to argue for his release Friday, said John B. McIntyre for his federal defender. Jackson made several calls that escalated in threatening behavior, according to the complaint. The Secret Service office in Chicago appears to have detailed complaints with a transcribed copy of what Jackson allegedly said in a racist and violent verbal assault on President Trump. The tirade included a racist term regarding the color of Trump's skin, and that should potentially escalate this threat to the level of a hate crime on top of a threat to assassinate a president. Neither hate crimes nor threats to assassinate a president should be tolerated, and the purveyors of said crimes should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Anyone who is willing to threaten the president with racial undertones will have no problem being racist and violent towards regular civilians. Jackson should be sentenced appropriately by a judge. From October 12 to 13, Jackson repeatedly called the Secret Service field office in Chicago, Special Agent Matthew LaRiviere wrote in the complaint. "Better watch Donald Trump ass, yeah bitch," Jackson said, according to court records. "Y'all think someone playing with yo dumb ass, I am going to blow white brains out his expletive head." It appeared Jackson was masking his real number, according to the agent. On October 18, Jackson made more phone calls to the Secret Service field office in Detroit, the agent wrote. "Why y'all messing with my wires?" Jackson said, according to the court filing. "I'm going to blow Trump's brains out." The violent and racist threatening phone calls reportedly originated from a 616 area code, and the calls are probably recorded since they were allegedly made to the Secret Service office. It wouldn't make sense for the Secret Service to not record all calls, especially when dealing with potential calls from threatening sources. Detroit News also reports that Jackson had repeatedly called a woman and threatened to cut her head off and walk around the area in front of the White House with her head on display. He also allegedly threatened family members, and his sister confirmed that his voice matches the voice in the assassination threat phone calls to the president. Jackson called from a phone with a 616 area code number. The number was registered to James Jackson Profit Group LLC in Grand Rapids, according to the agent. The company, which does not appear in state business records, is linked to an outreach center in Grand Rapids. Phone records also showed Jackson frequently called a woman in the 517 area code. The woman told investigators she had met a man online named Jamie who had harassed and threatened her from the same Grand Rapids area phone number used by Jackson. Jamie threatened to cut off her head and parade it in front of the White House for Trump, according to the court filing. On Friday, investigators interviewed Jackson's uncle. Jackson had cursed and threatened relatives, the uncle said. Agents played a recording of one of the Trump threats for Jackson's sister, and she confirmed the voice belonged to Jackson, according to the complaint. The American justice system should take these threats seriously, because any person willing to make threats towards the president should be taught a lesson in respecting the leader of the country. We can disagree with the president and any decision he makes, but we must act as responsible and respectful citizens. It's okay to disagree and work on solutions to problems that benefit all, or the majority of, people, but we cannot threaten each other, or our leaders, with any sort of violence. That sets a bad example for our youth and will eventually turn kids into seething far leftists who perpetrate violence while living in a life of squalor. Is that the life we want for our young Americans? A life of respect, civility, hard work, and proud patriotism is all we need to get by. Threatening a president with assassination doesn't fit into a successful life story narrative.